I think that this year, maybe there's some points where it's a little bit too physical, where it's kind of getting out of control a little bit, where like I won't say too physical, but it's just like not basketball plays or anything like that. And they gotta clean that up a little bit.
The league wants you to believe it's at its peak. They sell you the highlight reels, the packed arenas, the rising stars. But underneath that glitter, there's a growing problem nobody wants to admit. The game is slipping out of control. What used to be basketball is starting to feel like something else entirely. Too much brute force, too many cheap shots, and not enough of the game we came here to see. And when someone finally dares to speak it out loud, the truth cuts deep.
I just think the athleticism and the physicality is to a whole new level. And I think that this year, maybe there's some points where it's a little bit too physical, where it's kind of getting out of control a little bit, where like I won't say too physical, but it's just like not basketball plays or anything like that. And they gotta clean that up a little bit.
Before we continue, do you believe the WNBA is a joke? Let us know and type WNBA is a joke in the comments. This isn't just frustration, it's a warning shot. Think about it. The WNBA has never been more talented, more competitive, but the very thing that makes the league thrive, the purity of the game itself, is under threat, and the silence from the top only makes it worse. When the players themselves feel like the refs can't keep order, what's left to hold it all together? Because the truth is, players aren't just competing, they're fighting to survive. And while the fans love the chaos, those on the floor know how dangerous it's become. It's not just about who can shoot better, it's about who can endure the hits long enough to stay on the court. That's not strategy, that's survival. And here's the kicker. This isn't coming from a rookie wide-eyed about the league. This is someone who's bled for the game, someone who's built a career on toughness and grit, but now sees that toughness warped into something darker.
Honestly, from a young age, like I knew, no joke, even like when I was 4 or 5, when people would ask what you wanted to be, I'd be like a pro athlete. And I didn't know if I was going to go pro in basketball, volleyball, or soccer. Like those are my 3. But I always knew that I wanted to be that. And
that's not a casual dream. That's destiny talking. A lifetime of work, all for the chance to stand at the highest level of the game. And when you finally get there, when the dream is real, the last thing you expect is for the league itself to feel out of control. And yet, here we are. A game that was supposed to be about skill, vision, and precision, turning into a battle where brute force decides outcomes. And if you think that's just part of the game, you're missing the bigger picture. This is a crisis, and it's been years in the making.
it sounds so dumb, but I fell in love with the process of like working my tail off and like literally would go into Mizzou Arena at like midnight, like multiple nights a week, and just go shoot, work on ball handling, go do all those things. Because then I just knew that like everyone else wasn't doing that. And I knew that I was like stacking the days when no one knew I was stacking the days.
Yeah.
That's the kind of obsession that builds legends, sacrifices made in empty gyms when no one's watching. And yet, all that sweat, all that work, risks being overshadowed by a league that refuses to rein in its own chaos. The question isn't whether players are tough enough. The question is whether the league still remembers what basketball is supposed to look like. The deeper you go into this story, the more it feels like a warning that's been ignored for too long. This isn't about one season, one call, or one bad game. It's about a culture shift inside the league, a shift that's stripping away the very identity of the sport. Because when even veterans can't recognize the game they love, you know the problem has gone too far. And don't get it twisted, this isn't someone afraid of contact. We're talking about a player who's been through the fire, tested in ways most can't imagine. From football fields to late-night grind sessions, this is someone who knows toughness. But toughness has a line, and when it's crossed, it doesn't make the sport better, it makes it reckless.
No, that was it. So then that same game, one of my best friends, Matt Troyer, he was the kicker. He's like one of our star players. He actually blew out his knee.
Yeah.
And so they had one more game, then they had playoffs, and they're like, hey, we need someone who can kick the ball. And so our coach came up and they're like, hey, Soph, do you want to be our kicker? And I was like, haha, yeah, like, thought he was kidding. He's like, no, seriously, like, we need a kicker. I was like, you can't find anyone else out of this big-ass high school.
That's the mentality we're talking about. Someone willing to step into the unknown, to put their body on the line because the team needed it. That's not fear, that's fearlessness. But even the fearless have limits. And the league is pushing those limits in ways that can't be ignored. Because here's the harsh reality. The game isn't being defined by skill anymore. It's being hijacked by physicality that doesn't belong. Hits that don't serve the game only destroy it. And the higher-ups, they're silent. No accountability. No real effort to clean it up. And so, players are left to take the blows while the league cashes in. And when you see the legends of the game, those who built the standard watching this unfold, the hypocrisy becomes clear. Because the ones who taught the league what toughness truly meant, they never needed to turn the game into chaos. They earned respect through dominance, not destruction.
She came in every single day. She got her lift in. She got her rehab in. She got her shots in. And it didn't matter. Like, if it was an off day, she was still doing it. And I think once I started to develop that and copy her, that's when she started took me under her wing a little bit more, because she's like, okay, now you're starting to this is what it takes.
That's what real toughness looks like. Consistency, discipline, the grind no one sees. Not cheap fouls, not reckless hits. And that contrast right there is what makes this moment so damning. Because while the greats built legacies on hard work, the league now risks tearing it all down with a style of play that has nothing to do with basketball. And here's the scary part. It's not slowing down. If anything, it's escalating. Each season more brutal, each game more hostile. Fans might love the drama, but what they don't see is the cost. Careers cut short, dreams derailed. And for what? A spectacle that barely resembles the sport it's supposed to be. The truth nobody in the front office wants to admit: this league is sitting on a ticking time bomb. You can only let chaos run wild for so long before it consumes the very product you're selling. And right now, the WNBA is selling out arenas, drawing record attention, but at the same time, they're gambling with the health of their players. And it's not just whispers from the bench or talk among fans. This is coming from inside the lines, from players who have fought through injuries, taken the hits, and still showed up every night. And when they say the league has lost control, you better believe it.
I just think the athleticism and the physicality is to a whole new level. And I think that this year, maybe there's some points where it's a little bit too physical, where it's kind of getting out of control a little bit, where I won't say too physical, but it's just not basketball plays or anything like that. And they gotta clean that up a little bit.
Those aren't empty words. They're a direct accusation. The league has failed to draw the line. And if it keeps going, the game risks turning into something unrecognizable. Not strategy, not skill, just collisions and whistles with the refs powerless to fix it. And here's the brutal irony: this league has never been more stacked with talent. From New York's packed arenas to Minnesota's suffocating crowds, the level of play is at an all-time high. But instead of letting skill shine, the story is about who can survive the punishment long enough to stay on the floor.
But I know I'm getting old. I'm 29. Oof. But I enjoy it, though, because you see I think this is the most talent that the W has ever seen. But with that, people need leadership. They need direction. And you can have all that, but the people who win come from experience. And sometimes that takes time, And so
think about that. This isn't just a player reflecting on their career. It's a call for leadership, a demand for direction. Because talent without order is chaos, and chaos doesn't win championships. It breaks bodies. And maybe that's the hardest pill to swallow. The players are giving everything, building legacies through sacrifice, while the league lets the game spiral unchecked. No one's stepping in. No one's willing to say enough is enough. And when players themselves are forced to raise the alarm, it tells you just how deep the cracks run.
Everyone kind of has a D moment, but I don't think I really do. You know what I mean? Her energy and her aura is just so strong and intense. But I've gotten to know her for the past 7 years, and we are good friends now. And she's so intense, but I think she does that because she has one of the biggest hearts and she feels everything.
For sure.
And I love everything about her.
That's the example the league should be amplifying. Passion, intensity, heart, not reckless fouls that don't belong on the court. But instead of promoting that, they're letting the line between toughness and danger vanish. And when that line disappears, the game itself is the casualty. The question now is simple. How long can the league ignore the warnings before something breaks that can't be fixed? This isn't just about one player speaking up. It's about a storm brewing inside the WNBA, a league that's clawed its way into the spotlight, now staring down the risk of losing its soul. Because if you strip away the skill, the artistry, the strategy, what's left? A blood sport dressed up as basketball. And if that's the future, then everything built over decades is on the edge of collapse. And don't forget, the fans see the highlights. They see the buckets, the celebrations, the rivalries. What they don't see are the Knights players leave the court bruised, battered, and questioning whether this is really the game they signed up for. The gap between the spectacle and the reality has never been wider. That's what the sport was supposed to be about: sacrifice, work ethic, the joy of turning sweat into results. That's the heartbeat of basketball. And yet, all of that is being overshadowed by a league that refuses to get its house in order. And here's the part that should terrify anyone who cares about the WNBA: the stars won't stay silent forever. The veterans who built the league, the young phenoms who carry it into the future, they'll only take so much before they start walking away. And once that happens, the damage is irreversible. Listen to that again. Even in the middle of chaos, players are isolating, just trying to survive. Injuries stacking up, time stolen, focus stretched thin. That's not growth, that's desperation. And if this is what the game does to its own, how long before the next generation looks at this league and says, no thanks? That's the spark this league should be nurturing: hard work, team unity, a standard that lifts the game. Instead, the story is being hijacked by unnecessary brutality. And unless something changes, that spark will die out under the weight of a league too stubborn to face the truth. So here it is, the breaking point. Either the WNBA reins in the chaos and restores order, or it watches the game unravel piece by piece. The choice is theirs, but the clock is ticking.